Wake up, wake up, wake up. San Francisco, Bay Area. Welcome to 49ers Wake Up. Damon Bruce, Larry Krueger. Cheers. We are in Hanukkah, so I'll say L'chaim. Hopefully everybody is having a really good morning. And if you're a 49er fan, why wouldn't you be? Larry, that's 5 in a row. That is now a 10-3 record, tied with the Cowboys and Eagles for the best record in the NFC. And guess who would be the 1 seed if the entire year ended today, which it does not, which means we got plenty to talk about. But a whole bunch of chunk plays and a whole bunch of yards put up yesterday by the 49ers in a win over the Seahawks that might have been a little closer on the scoreboard than some imagined. But, Larry, the 49ers were in control of that game throughout.
Good morning to everybody. Good morning, Damon. Good morning, audience. Lots of people fired up for the show. I was out at Levi's yesterday. People left and right talking about 49er Wake Up, saying, I love that show that you do with Damon in the mornings. On Mondays, it's not just Mondays. It's Mondays, it's Fridays, it's any day after the 49ers play. And who knows, maybe tomorrow or soon, it will be every day. But
wouldn't that be an amazing announcement to make in early 2024? Oh, my goodness. By the way, Larry, since we're kind of patting each other on the back with all the compliments we got, I was at the Guardsman Tree Lot. A ton of people told me they are watching. They love this show. This is an oasis for Niner fans in a desert full of that's not good enough. We're officially standing out. And let me just golf clap our first member of the 30,000 club, Larry Krueger, 30,000 subscriptions. I love it, Larry. Absolutely love it.
Man, I feel like I'm the lead blocker here. I'm the lead blocker clearing the way. But yeah, we crested the 30,000 hill. The goal was to get there by the Super Bowl. We got there well before. Now we're headed towards 40,000. We're almost at 30,500. So thank you to everybody, all the audience members, because as Fitz used to say, without you guys, we are simply talking to ourselves. But I just want to say, man, the 49ers this morning, as we're sitting here at 8:39 on the 11th of December of 2023, the road to Vegas and the Super Bowl officially goes through Levi's Stadium, and your 49ers are the Super Bowl favorite. Let that thing sink in. Everybody who's been waiting, in fact, everybody in there, anybody who's 25 years old or younger, who's a Niner fan, has never seen what I've seen, what you've seen, what others have seen, which is the Niners on top. It may happen this year. The road to the 6th Lombardi right now goes through Levi's Stadium, and your Niners are the favorite, and I can taste it. I can see us sitting there in Vegas, and it's what happened yesterday was amazing. The Niners get a win. The Cowboys beat the Eagles, and it really sets up for the perfect scenario, Damon, because not only did the Niners pass the Eagles, the Bears, your Bears as a kid beat the Detroit Lions at Cold Soldier Field. And then because Geno sat out, he's probably going to play next week rested at home in Seattle against the Eagles. And now that game is a gotta-have-it game for Seattle. So now Seattle's at home against an Eagle team that's reeling with a rested quarterback needing to win. And if the Seahawks can get that done next Sunday, the Niners could not even need to run the table. They could lose on Christmas to Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens and still be the number 1 seed in the NFC. So as long as they ran the table in the other games. So great, an incredible December 10th. And we're happy to be here on December 11th to talk about it.
Look, it was a convincing win. It was a reaffirming win. It was a handle your business win. All at the same time, in a very business-like afternoon, there were some gaudy numbers put up all around by this offense. It was a bend-don't-break defense. When Charvarius Ward went out of the game, Larry, it really opened up a path to, as you and I discussed, DK Metcalf has take-over-a-game ability. He didn't take over the game, though. As a matter of fact, he had even less production against backups than he did Charvarius Ward early on in that game. And it just showed you that this team is getting better in its secondary. They're playing together as a unit. And look, Drew Lock might have actually given the 49ers a little bit more to think about than Geno did back on Thanksgiving. Drew Lock played a damn good game for a guy thrown into that situation kind of last minute. You got to tip your cap to the Seahawks. That's a good football team having a weird kind of year, and they're really good at making football games weird. And there was a little weird in this game too. But when it was said and done, just the facts are where we like to begin each and every 49ers wake up, Larry. And the facts are that the 49ers have now swept the season series against the Seahawks in back-to-back seasons for the very first time in franchise history. As a matter of fact, they've won 5 consecutive games against the Seahawks, if you want to include the playoff wild card game of last year. And in this current little run, the 49ers have now won 5 in a row. And they have 11 consecutive regular season wins against NFC West opponents, which is the most consecutive division wins by any NFC West team since 2002. So the Niners really have risen to be the cream in the crop of their division. And it's not, look, it's a division that might not be what it was just a couple of years ago, but you saw the Rams give the Baltimore Ravens an awful lot to think about in Baltimore yesterday. That game had to go to overtime. And I think you're right. The Seahawks are going to have a pair of brass knuckles waiting for an Eagles team that I'm not going to say has been exposed, Larry, but the 49ers basically showed the NFL how you can get off on that defense. And that's just finding mismatches in a linebacking crew and in a secondary that doesn't run as fast as a lot of NFL teams do. The Eagles are a little slow. They're a little slow defensively, especially right now. So it is set up to be an incredibly interesting ending of this season for the 49ers, but they've got business coming up. Again, another NFC West opponent, an actual trap game. I didn't think the Seahawks were. The maybe trap game is laying for them, but I also think Larry Shanahan and company have just got it dialed in right now. They're not going to let another team's reputation affect the way they prepare for a football game, and that's coaching. It really is. And that's a team that's playing with an awful lot of confidence. And why wouldn't the 49ers be playing with a ton of confidence right now?
It was an incredible all-around offensive performance. The Niners spread the ball around to their weapons. McCaffrey had a big day. Debo looks like Debo, vintage Debo. Brandon Ayuk's having his career year. George Kittle had a touchdown in which he was held. And then Brock Purdy. And then what can you say about Brock Purdy? He threw for a career-high 368 yards, another strong performance, cementing his case as the MVP of the NFL. I mean, really very impressive. I totally agree with your assessment, by the way, of Drew Lock. He completed 71% of his passes. He made some amazing throws. Guy's got a really good arm. But just 2 things that really stood out on offense. One, man, the Niners have, once again, vintage Debo Samuel. The same Debo, Damon, that we saw 2 years ago in 2021. He was incredible that year. He had 77 catches, over 1,400 yards. He was an all-pro wide receiver. Wasn't great in 2022. Came into camp out of shape and didn't play as well. Had an off-season contract dispute and the whole deal. This year, he showed up in camp in incredible shape. And over the past 4 weeks, 63 yards, 79 yards, 116 yards, 149 yards, and recording 6 touchdowns over that same stretch. So you're looking at vintage Debo. And then Brock Purdy did not have a great start to the game yesterday. He started 3 for 6 for 44 yards and a pick. And he didn't look all that comfortable. And then suddenly they're down 10-7, Damon. And Purdy then from that point on completed 76% of his passes for 322 yards and 2 touchdowns. Impressive movement in the pocket and deep throws to Debo and Ayuk. And just the ball placement with Purdy was outstanding all game. On offense, Damon, Debo and Purdy really, to me, stood out.
They did. Trent Williams stood out in this game to me, too, and we'll get to him a little bit later. But to just focus on Brock's afternoon, again, 70.4% completion percentage. It's his 7th straight game with a completion percentage of 70 or better, which is the longest streak of games by any Niner quarterback since Joe Montana in 1989. He's also just the 4th quarterback in NFL history to register a completion percentage of 70 or higher in 7 consecutive games. That's Joe, Drew Brees, and Sam Bradford at the peak of his bonus baby prowess. Purdy now has 12 games in his first 2 seasons with a passer rating of 110 or more, which ties Hall of Fame Miami Dolphins quarterback Dan Marino for the 3rd most such games in a player's first 2 seasons in NFL history. So Purdy is going bonkers out there. And what's really, I think, impressive, I wouldn't even call it a great day for Brock. It was just a day for Brock where he was getting aggressive. He hit a few big, deep throws. But it was, when we talk about the great games that he's played this year, I don't even know if I'm going to bring up the Seattle game. He played really well, but it wasn't one of those like, oh my God, afternoons. It was a day of feast or famine, and he spent most of his day feasting on some big chunk plays, and so did McCaffrey. But it wasn't one of those, like, as I was watching the game, I thought, yeah, he's playing well. But it wasn't until the box score opened up where I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize he was playing that well this afternoon. So when you can almost make it look easy in real time, that's when you enter the conversation of you're a very special player. The special players in this league make it look easy. And it's just really coming easy for Brock. And considering where he is in his career, not even through his 2nd full season, it's incredible, Larry. I mean, he is taken to this league in a way that really, in my lifetime, it's a small handful of guys. And it's rare that they're quarterbacks. You see a corner step into the NFL and just be a badass. You see a running back step into the NFL. Sometimes a wide receiver does it. An offensive or defensive lineman will do it every now and then. But to be a quarterback that looks like a polished, finished product so early in a career, forget about the starting point. Like, if Brock Purdy had been the number 1 overall pick in the draft, he's still playing above that expectations. I mean, it's the truth. If he had been the number 1 overall, he is outperforming the expectations that would have come with that. Not only, Larry, do the 49ers have their quarterback, like, for sure. Here's your quarterback, folks. You were turning the page. No matter what page you landed on, you always look for another page. You can stop looking for the next chapter. This is your quarterback. He's right here. And he's not just like a good middle of the pack, acceptable on game day, Jimmy Garoppolo, we can win with him, type of quarterback. This guy's one of the 5 best quarterbacks in football. There's nothing to debate there anymore. He's one of the 5 best quarterbacks in football. He's got the numbers. And oh, by the way, Brock Purdy wakes up this morning with the 2nd most passing yards in the NFL, one of the rare categories that he was, about 7th in when he's number 1 everywhere else. So today he is 2nd in the NFL in passing.
This chat makes me laugh. Steven Saunders. Larry told Colton McKivitz it's bird hunting season, and he took that personally. Yeah, the Niners have gone incredible and gotten hot in this bird crazy run they've got. All I will say about Brock Purdy is that it makes me laugh. I was thinking last night as I'm driving home, how many people were like, yeah, well, wait until he, going into that second matchup with the Seahawks. Yeah, well, here's a team that wait until they see him a second time around. See, they got him. They saw him the first time, and he snuck up on them. He's now beaten them 4 in a row. Right. He essentially is to the Seahawks what Russell Wilson was to the 49ers. He is officially Seahawk kryptonite. And that's why Dave Softy Mahler, when he hears people complaining about Brock Purdy, is like, what? Because he would dream of having a Brock Purdy. But yeah, right now, the 49ers have their guy. They have their guy. And to me, if you really think about, if you go on to crystallize what's so special about Brock Purdy that we're getting all excited about, other than the results and the wins, and like, if just from a clinical standpoint, watching him play, is there anything that you can point to and say, wow, that's really special? And I would say it's the combination, Damon, of quiet feet and quick feet. He's got quiet feet in the pocket in that he's not afraid of the rush. How many times did you see Jimmy Garoppolo's feet pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter? You know what I mean? So that's what we call loud feet. Quiet feet, you're just standing there the way Tom Brady does, or did, the way that Aaron Rodgers did. You know, where you've got that, where your feet are, you're not worried. But then he also has quick feet, so he can move within the pocket, which I thought he did expertly yesterday, especially on a couple of those where I'm watching it on the binoculars and the right side of the line is giving pressure. And instead of, hitting that, escape hatch and just sprinting out of there, he just subtly moves to his left, keeping his eyes posted down the field the entire time, and then delivers a strike down the field to one of the bevy of his, one of his bevy of weapons. And it's just, that's a really hard thing to do. Either you have quick feet, you're young and you're fast and you got quickness, but you also are kind of helter-skelter, or you're like that veteran who's got quiet feet, but you don't have quickness and you can't really move around. This guy's got the quickness within the pocket, quick feet, and then quiet feet. Yeah. And I just think right now I'm watching it and I'm like, is this for real? Like, I thought this guy was pretty good. And I said it, but I didn't see quite the upside that we're seeing right now. And I'm just sitting there going, you got to be kidding me. And then you go in the locker room after the game, Damon, and you talk to his teammates, and they're not shocked. They're not surprised. Damon, it's gotten to a point where they expect it. They expect this kid to play this way every week.
Well, I've already said we're almost in Brock Purdy 2.0 because now he's playing with a level of expectations attached to him, and he's been doing that since the bye week, and he's more than delivered in almost every single game where it was asked, all right, can he step up to meet this moment? He's more than met just about every moment that's been in front of him. I mean, even during the 3-game losing streak, there's an argument to be made that he did not play that poorly in those games. But I don't even want to go back that far. We're talking about what just happened Sunday against Seattle. You talk about footwork, and you're right. He has shown up in this league with a veteran's level of footwork and just fundamental footwork. His coaches, going back to his high school coaches, his Iowa State coaches, Brian Greasy, I don't know who deserves all the credit, but they built this guy from the ground up. They really did. He's got great footwork. I'm going to go to the other side of the player's body, though, Larry. I'm going to say it's his eyes. This guy's eyes are always downfield.
You're going to pull Aaron's got beautiful eyes. I told Chris Webber, you've got beautiful eyes. That's my Ralph.
Have you ever made eye contact with Cal Ripken Jr.? Don't do it. Don't do it.
They're Exorcist blue.
You'll question yourself. Don't do it.
But no, his eyes, they're always downfield. They're never on the pressure. They're never on the play that's in front of them. They're always on his progressions and his targets. And Larry, it's the CPU. What makes a computer go? It's that processing unit. And he goes through the field and through his reads and through his progressions like a 10-year NFL veteran. He really, truly does. And beyond that, I want to keep on coming back to something that Steve Young has always talked about, a catchable football.
Yeah.
Forget about arm strength and talent. Does he throw a catchable ball? My God, does this guy put it in the breadbasket when he needs to? That throw to Debo even had to get on his giddy up to get underneath it. Purdy put that out so perfectly. The only place that any player could make a play is if Debo gets it into fourth gear here and just, I don't know if you've had breakfast, but Jamal Adams is serving toast today. He got burnt, Larry, on that one. Seriously, they were efficient enough when they had the ball where they made up for their inefficiencies. We talked about what's the one way the Seattle can be in this game? Well, with some turnovers. Even that interception that he threw to Ayuk, they were talking about it, and I'm sure it'll be talked about, and you'll ask about it when you get down to 49ers facility this week. Did Purdy make a bad throw, or did Ayuk run the wrong route? And they were even discussing it. Greg Olsen was saying, look, Purdy has made this pass all year long, and I just think Ayuk might have been in the wrong place, and Love came up with a very nice interception. Love had a pretty good game. He really did.
Pretty good game. Julian Love,
He
my
was really-
God,
Okay, good.
interception, forced fumble, big hits.
Yeah.
Julian Love. I mean, my God, what a free agent signing. The former Golden Domer was huge,
And
absolutely
you're
huge.
telling me that Jamal Adams is supposed to be the star and he's the other guy? I'd say
Yeah.
you might have that the other way around just based on yesterday.
Julian Love had himself the game of his life. I mean, or that's a great, great player. He was with the New York Giants and they stole him in free agency this year. No, I was watching the the Purdy to Ayuk throw, and I thought Ayuk hesitated for a half step on the route and may have kind of ended his route a little early. Brock led him a little too much. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't go back and with the fine tooth comb late last night on this particular play. I watched the game again, but I think I might have dozed in the middle of this play. Did Ayuk tip that ball, Damon?
He did. It went off his fingertips.
Okay. That's what I thought in real time, but other people said, no, it wasn't tipped. And I'm like, yeah, no, he tipped that ball. So, it was a combination where I felt like Ayuk didn't finish the route, and then he got himself leaning, and he reached for it. It tipped off his fingers, and then it fell right into the arms of the defender. So, I mean, that it's going to happen. I mean, especially if you're Brock and you put it out there, you talk to a quarterback, any quarterback, about his receivers, Damon, and if they're paying those receivers a compliment, they'll say, he'll go get it for you, man. He'll go get it for you. And what they mean is oftentimes in the NFL, quarterbacks throw to spots,
right?
And receivers just have to get to that spot. And Brock is as good as anybody is just dotting those spot throws and just putting it on that spot. And I think in this particular situation, if we had them both sitting here, I bet you Brandon would say, I didn't get to my spot.
There was an awful lot of my bad in his body language.
Well, on the sideline.
The close up on the sideline, you could just see, Ayuk was a little, you could tell he thought that it was on him. And one of the reasons why Purdy is a huge leader in this locker room so early in his career is he would never, ever put that on Brandon Ayuk. He'd tell you that he needed to make a better throw. And making better throws is really what he did all afternoon. Again, Larry, back to just the facts. 527 total yards on the day. It's the most yards in a single game this season by the team, and the most yards that the Niners have registered since 2019 when Jimmy Garoppolo won that shootout in New Orleans against Drew Brees. Debo had a monster game. He had 116 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown last week against Philadelphia. 149 receiving yards, a touchdown, catching and rushing again this week. It makes Debo Samuel the second player in NFL history, Larry, to register 100 or more receiving yards and 1 or more receiving touchdowns and 1 or more rushing touchdowns in back-to-back games since Timmy Brown, not that one, a much older Timmy Brown who played for the Eagles back in the 1960s.
Oh, okay. Not touchdown Timmy?
Not that Timmy Brown, not our Timmy Brown, their Timmy Brown. The 49ers offense averaged 9.9 yards per play. It's the team's highest average yards per play in a single game since 2012. Therefore, Larry, that's the most yards per play in the Kyle Shanahan era. What we saw yesterday is one of the best. I won't even say it's the scheme he drew up. It's the execution of the scheme he drew up. And when the big play was there, Purdy hit it, and then he hit it again, and then he hit it again. And then when he didn't hit it, it was Christian McCaffrey, who's got a 7-yard run, followed by an 11-yard run, followed by a 3-yard run, followed by a 22-yard run. I mean, he just chunk plays everywhere. You looked all afternoon. Plays were either going for 2 or 3 yards, or they were all in that 7 to 28 yard range. I mean, it was an afternoon where the middle of the field seemed open. The sideline seemed open. And look, Witherspoon goes out, and that changes what Seattle wants to do an awful lot. He's a really talented young corner. So you saw the 49ers take advantage of the situation that an injury gave them, while Seattle was unable to take advantage of that injury to the point of scoring like they wanted to. But again, Drew Lock was impressive. And I thought that both Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker got forgotten in that game. Like Pete Carroll just decided rushing on first and second down has become predictable. So he stopped kind of doing it. And that's when I think the Seahawks really lost in this game. There was a point early on, Larry, where they had a 4th and 2. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
4th and 2 in the third quarter. And it was one of those, you really going to climb back into this game or not, Pete? And Pete punted. And that's when I thought the Seahawks blinked for the first time all day. That's when they blinked for the very first time. And again, I guess you're going to try to get as long of a field to defend as you can when a team's going 9.9 yards per play on you.
I was thinking the exact same thing. And they came out. Was that the one where they came out like they were going to run the play and then called the timeout and punted?
Yes. Yeah. They gave a whole bunch of eye candy looking for a jump snap, and it didn't happen.
And Fred Warner just talked so much trash to them. You could see it. It was like, why don't you go for it? He's like leaning across the line of scrimmage. I don't know exactly what he said there. I'll tell you what was extra impressive about this win. The Seahawks came in rested and motivated and hungry, and it was personal because the Niners were just 2 weeks ago in their place on national TV.
They might have
slapping them around.
They out-hit the Niners yesterday. They were throwing some lumber around Levi Stadium.
And I was talking to, I think it was Aaron Banks in the locker room. I'm like, man, how hard is it to beat a team twice in 3 weeks? And he's like, yeah, it's hard because, they've got that resolve. They got the taste of the loss in their mouth. But, I mean, also they had the rest advantage. And, I asked Banks, I said, is the rest advantage real or is it contrived? Is it a media talking point or is it real? And he's like, no, man, it's real. I mean, it's like when you had that extra rest, 3 extra days, especially now it's December and they've been playing since July and their bodies are so sore, that extra 3 days, he's like, man, it's hard to get out of the rack some Mondays. And so think about 3 extra days of preparation. It's not just mental preparation and mental detail, but it's physical rest and rehab. And Seattle, Damon, at the beginning of this game looked fresher. They looked quicker. They looked spry. They looked really good. And still, the 49ers were able to overcome that rest disadvantage, the motivational disadvantage, not having their defensive captain in Eric Armstead, who's, a huge factor in what they do defensively. Let's credit Javon Kinlaw, by the way. Big JK stepped up with a huge effort. His motor was churning. He made plays. He made plays against the run. He was hustling. I think he had another half sack or a sack.
He did have a half a sack, and he played a really good game. He was collapsing pockets all day. He wasn't just occupying blocks. He was collapsing pockets on Drew Lock, and that's what made Lock uncomfortable. Now, it wasn't the big sack total that they had the first time they played. They had 6 the first time they played Seattle. Right. Drew Lock, again, gets credit for having a pretty goddamn good afternoon when it's all said and done. I thought it was maybe, and I don't know if this is Steve Wilkes' credit or Chris Kasurik's credit. Maybe you can dig into the way that they decided to use Nick Bosa, because it was the most versatile Nick Bosa I think we've seen all year, Larry. He was standing up over the center. He was playing stand-up nose tackle in some of these plays. He was
they got creative on D. They got creative on that front.
They really did. They used Bosa to make up for the Eric Armstead absence, and I thought that Cleveland Farrell also responded well to an opportunity to play.
Clee was big.
Yeah. He had a sack and gave the Eric Armstead yummy in my tummy celebration. So, you got guys playing hard for their brother who couldn't go that day. And look, there's just a feeling of team. And then you saw the scrum at the end of the game, right? Everybody got their squabbles, and DK Metcalf and Fred Warner got involved. And then Lenore comes right in and serves up a 2-piece.
I didn't think it's like, hey, man, we can't beat him. Let's fight him.
Yeah,
that was the Seattle thought right there. Oh, wait a second, and I kept yelling from the press box to Greenlaw, go down, just go down.
You could
just go down,
dude. Everyone in San Francisco was basically go
down, just go down. You've made the play. Go down, go down. Did you notice the new NASCAR front? They went with no Eric Armstead, with Hargrave banged up with the hammy. Well, actually, before even Hargrave went down with the hammy, Kasurek went to his all 3D end alignment.
Yeah.
And I asked Chase Young about it. I said, Chase, when you guys were, at Columbus, did you and Nick ever rush off the same side at the same time? And he's like, no, man, we didn't get that much run down there because he had the core injury the year that we were together.
Right.
He's like, but I said to him, I'm like, man, that 3D end, let's get all of our pass rushers on the field alignment, which had Randy Gregory and Bosa on the edges, Chase Young and Hargrave inside. The Niners essentially took their 4 best pass rushers and put them on one line. And Chase was like, we either got home or almost got home almost every time we went to that alignment.
Hey, welcome home to 49ers Wake Up. If you're new here, if the algorithm brought you to us today, fantastic. If it's radio memories that brought you to us today, that's fantastic. If you're one of Larry's 30,000 subscribers that found me through him, I thank you very, very much, Larry. I've had an awful lot of people tell me in my channel's growth over the last few weeks, I found you with Krug, and I'm so glad that I did. It's 2 of my favorite sports phone hosts officially together now.
Dude,
and
you're blowing up. Damon's got more subs in the last 10 days than anybody I've ever come across. I mean, you
to be honest, you thought I was cheating.
I mean, I seriously, I called him the other day. I said, bro, there's a right way and there's a wrong way to do this. If you're buying all these subs, man, that ain't good.
No.
But I'm convinced that he obviously is not, and it's just natural organic growth. But Damon's grown by almost 4,000 subs in like 10 days, and it's great to see. And we're crested the 30,000 mountain, and we go from there. And maybe someday we'll get to 40 and 50 and 60 and 70 and that kind of thing. But I think there's an awful lot of people that are looking at their viewing and listening options and saying, wait a second, I can follow these guys on YouTube. I can have YouTube in the car. I don't have to be locked into old school AM radio anymore. Wow. I'm going to branch out, and YouTube, you're welcome.
Yeah, it's about time we put this little website on the map. It really is.
Yeah.
You're really welcome, YouTube. Google, you're welcome.
Look at this chat. Kyle McKiernan. Brock Purdy is the new Steph Curry in the Bay Area. Welcome it with open arms, and let's go on a 10+ year 49er run. Wouldn't that be something?
All I can tell you is that Brock Purdy is tracking to a level that only the very best quarterbacks of all time have ever played at. I mean, and again, that's not hyperbole. That's not my opinion. I think technically we're out of the just the facts segment to open the show here, Larry, but I am not over exaggerating when I say that Brock Purdy has a level of mathematically, statistically tracked, proven production that mirrors the best of the best future Hall of Fame quarterbacks in their most elite MVP worthy seasons. He's Aaron Rodgers at peak Aaron Rodgers. He's Marino at peak Dan Marino. He's doing things that John Elway never did. He's doing things that Steve Young didn't. And Steve Young, for God's sake.
He's doing things that Steve Young didn't do until he was 32 years old.
Right.
And he's 23. I've been saying he's the best best Niner quarterback since Steve Young. And a couple people came up to me in the last week or in the chats have gone, he's the best Niner quarterback since Joe. My good friend Dan Cochimilio in the postgame last night said, at the same stage in their career, he's better than Joe. And I said, of course, we all called Dan a moron and rip Dan, and Dan's an idiot. And the chat, Dan, you're high, Dan. But I know what Dan was saying.
Right.
He was saying
first 20 starts of Joe Montana's career. Look at the numbers in Purdy's career, and one's a lot better than the others.
Right. And we're not saying he's better than Joe, everybody. Somebody's gonna go, I was listening to Morning Wake Up with Damon and Larry. They're saying he's better than Joe Montana. I mean, come on, pump the brakes, you morons. No, we get it. We get it. Joe's Joe, and there's only one Joe. But all Dan's point was just that's how precocious this young kid is. That's how ahead of the game he is. I was shouting this guy out as a very good future quarterback last summer before his rookie year, because I actually went up to him and met him in camp and started talking to him, and I started realizing this guy's got exactly what I've interviewed Drew Brees, and I've interviewed Russell Wilson, and I've interviewed Tom Brady, and it's like this guy's got what those guys got. which is he's smart, he's humble, but he's got that chip on his shoulder. He's got this, I'll prove you wrong. He's got that mental maturity that Alex Smith had, but he's got that chip that Brady carried. He's got the, literally, Damon, when I talk to Brock in the locker room, he calls me sir. And every time he does, I look around.
Right. Where's your dad?
I'm like, no, Mr. Kruger's no longer with us anymore. Let's just call me Larry. I mean, seriously, he's that respectful, normal, and then of course, I'm 53 now, so I am one of his elders, and he's respectful of his elders. But I mean, come on. The guy is hard to believe. It's too good to be true. They found this guy, and then all what's that?
I didn't know you were. I thought you were. I honestly thought you were like 51. You don't look a day over. I got 2.5. You really don't.
Are you kidding me? No, but I'll be 54 January 12th. If everybody wants to send me a gift, feel free. Don't. I'll accept gifts from everybody. When is
it?
January the 12th.
So like almost
54. I'm 1970, January 12th, 1970.
When's the Super Bowl?
It's probably a week before that. I think it's the 8th or 7th.
All right.
Like
I was about to say, is your birthday on the Super Bowl?
Well, they keep pushing the Super Bowl back, so who knows? Maybe it is this year.
Right, the Super Bowl is going to be played in March at some point.
I know, yeah. Welcome to Super Bowl Sunday, and make sure you buy your fireworks, everybody.
Happy spring, everyone. Welcome to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's like the NBA Finals are, we're going to be August 10th. But yeah, no, it's like it's amazing what the Niners have fallen into. And I know there were an awful lot of people that were just like, Trey never got his chance. And I totally understood that. But when you stumble on this kind of a player and you realize, hey, this isn't just a one-shot wonder, or hey, he's got a good start, but wait until the league adjusts, and you realize everything about this kid is real, and there's not going to be an adjustment. He's just going to get better. And all the people in the offseason this year are like, well, he can't get any better. Why? Because you're rooting for the other guy and you don't want him to get better. What 22-year-old quarterback doesn't get better? It's like, yeah, he's going to get better. And where he is right now, guess what, folks? He's going to get even better. So
what does that look like? What does the actual 5-year NFL veteran Brock Purdy look like? I can't wait to see what that looks like. I'm trying to stay in the moment. I want to enjoy the moment. I don't want to do any projection broadcasting this morning or talking about, someone last night was like, the Dallas Cowboys or Dak Prescott won the MVP last night. I'm like, well, actually, no one won the MVP last night. They're not giving that away yet. So, like, let's be in the moment a little bit more than trying to just project where it could all go. What they got coming up is a game against the Arizona Cardinals, and that is a handle your business set up, designed to be a trap game if there ever was one for a team that's got great aspirations. And it's up to Kyle to sell this team on the fact to stay focused. And I don't think he's going to have to sell it hard. I mean, good teams run and police themselves. They really do throughout history. And
your leadership comes from your best players. And are they workmanlike? I talked to Charlie Warner. You can check that interview out on YouTube. I'm on the Krug Show page. And I said, Charlie,
another catch for Warner. He's done
another catch.
A few weeks where Kyle's thinking like, I got to get him a ball.
And I asked him, about the focus and, looking too far ahead and that kind of thing. And he's like, look around. He looks around the room. He's like, guys are just putting their helmets on. Guys are just putting their pads on. We're going out to practice. We're just taking it day by day. We're simpling in. And Fred Warner told me 3 weeks ago in an interview, he goes, we're not thinking, 3 weeks ahead. We're not thinking one game ahead. We're staying in the present, play by play, next play. Next play. And eventually we'll get there. But we're not looking down the road. We're not planning ahead. We're not reading our press clippings, and we're not going to put the cart before the horse. I mean, what's great about this Niner team is they've learned in this season a very valuable lesson. The world was kissing their ass. They were on top of the world. They smoked the Cowboys in a big national TV game, and they lost 3 in a row. And all of a sudden they went from, man, we may not lose, we may run the table, to we may not make the playoffs. What's going to happen here? Are we ever going to win again? And that was a valuable lesson a valuable lesson. And there's been a focus since the bye week, Damon, that is really, really impressive. You know, it's the focus of let's just take it one at a time. And this week it's the Seahawks, and next week it's the Cardinals. We'll get to the Ravens when we get to them. We'll get to the playoffs when we get to it. And they're not looking too far down that road. And I think that's the healthy approach.
I think it is too. And look, we also will tell you right now, nothing about that game was perfect. The way that the 49ers ended that first half, had they lost that game, Larry, we're crucifying Kyle Shanahan. I need you to tell me what the hell he wasn't doing there at the end of that half, where he went to the locker room, declined a 10-second runoff, accepted a 10-second runoff, excuse me, to have less time, declined to take a timeout when he had 3 remaining, with the team, the Seahawks, running plays from inside their own 5-yard line. A short field is all but guaranteed, and Kyle is cool, sitting on a less than impressive lead just going into the locker room. Now, I don't know if
not getting the ball back in the third either.
Yeah, I don't know if he wanted to adjust some protections, if he was worried about the pressure that was coming to Moody right up the front or the gut. Someone needs to ask Kyle, hey, you won the game. And when you win the game, you don't need to make many apologies, but that's more than like not being a good clock manager. He absolutely abdicated a possession.
He took his foot off the gas pedal there.
I don't want a possession at the end of a half, which is an odd choice for any coach to make, especially on a day where you're hitting chunk plays and things are working. Like, I didn't get that at all. There are 2 things I didn't like in the game. Number 1, the end of the half, which did not haunt the Niners at all. Right. And number 2, it's officially time to get Deebo Samuel off kick return. He is too important. He cannot be lost on a play that can be made by anyone else. I mean, take the touchback for fuck's sake. Deebo got smacked at the 15-yard line, and he just does not need to expose himself to the single most violent play on the field. He's too important. Give it to Ronnie Bell. Give it to Ray when he's ready to come on back. Give it to Jordan Mason.
Ray may not be coming back.
Oh,
right?
really?
Ray was put on the IR.
Okay. Well,
so there's a chance that Ray's done. And Ronnie Bell makes me nervous. I got to be completely
nervous too. By the way, he slipped on that Mitch Wisnowski. I told you there was a fake punt coming. And there's another thing I need you to find out for me this week, Larry. Did Mitch Wisnowski call the code red himself based on that alignment, or was that a actual practiced punt fake? And if it was, that's one of the greatest. Everyone on this team is selling the fake punt fakes of all time. He looked like he even caught the Niners off guard. That's how well designed of a fake that was. If that was called in from the sideline, I don't know if he just went full on code red himself. You got to find out for me.
Kyle Shanahan has been the Niners head coach since 2017. He has never called a fake punt.
No,
ever. And he didn't call the one last night either, according to Kyle. I think it was a Schneider call, the veteran special teams coach. And by the way, if they ever look for that, if they don't have Ray and they don't activate Danny Gray and they're looking for that guy who can run off the coverage, maybe it's Wisnowski. Put him out there. I mean, Wisnowski was cooking, man. I mean, it wasn't just a first down that he was running for. That guy's got big speed. And it's funny, I asked him last week, I was asking him a question about the game, and he's like, I don't know anything about football. I'm like, you're a football player. He's like, yeah, but honestly, I don't know anything about football. He just does what he does, but he's a true specialist. But yeah, no, I mean, the speed on that was incredible. And then, the offsetting
football. By the way, that's the most refreshing, honest player quote maybe of the NFL season right there. Like, the only time I run that fast is when the pierogies are ready. That's the only way that quote could have been better.
I'm thinking about taking that quote and putting it as part of my intro. I don't know anything about football. It would just be a great intro to the show. But so, I didn't like that was incredible. I mean, it was I'm sitting there and I was pounding the table. I'm like, damn, the offsetting penalties. And offsetting, obviously it just means they're going to play the down over. And I'm like, try it again. No, and then, of course, they're not going to try it again. The element of surprise is gone there. But that was great to see. It was great to see, and it was also one of those things where, you put that on film. Now every single team has to take time to.
Absolutely.
They could run a fake. They've done it, guys. They could run a fake and more make your opponent use more of their time.
Well, and it also just tells everyone you can't line up like that because Mitch is hunting his next big career play since that one unfortunately got wiped out. Ronnie Bell looked like he slipped, by the way. I mean, it's still a chop block, but he slipped more than he aired in the mistake that was the penalty. I want to read. I got over 500 people in the room here, Larry. What do you got?
1591.
That's what I'm talking about, baby. So together we have 2,000 live viewers watching this show right now. 88 Esquire says the viewers here are all being treated to the most substantial, fact-driven, and entertaining post-game sports show originating in the San Francisco Bay Area or on any media platform. Kudos to Damon and Larry. 88 Esquire, thank you very, very much. That is the goal of what we're doing here. We ask everyone, especially if you are new to the room, hit like, hit subscribe, whether you be in Larry's room or in my room, it doesn't matter. We're sharing it all together. And hit like and subscribe. This thing is officially growing. And again, when football season is over, maybe this is the new morning show that the Bay Area officially needs. Who knows? I've never been much of a morning guy, Larry, but these damn kids got me up like the rooster.
Oh, you kidding? My wife would love it. I'm a nighttime guy. She's a morning person. And it's like, if I became a morning person, she'd be like, it's a dream world. I don't know.
That's what she needs.
I don't know. Man,
all right. Well, look at it this way. If
I'm a rough watch in the morning, man.
Oh, you're not easy on the night when easy on the eye when the sun goes down either there, sweetheart. But no, it's phenomenal. The response has been overwhelming, and Larry and I both thank you very much for being here today. Hit like, hit subscribe, and all that good stuff. Yeah, what do you got?
Well, one thing I do want to mention, you gave me the great idea, and I had a chance. Damon did a meet and greet, and what was the name of the place in the city?
Victory Hall on Rich Street, right over there by the ballpark. It's a great bar. My friend Waylon has opened his doors for us whenever he's asked him to, and he's been a great host. And it was wonderful to have you and Amy come on by, meet all of the Plusers and the early adapters to the Damon Bruce Show on YouTube. You had a lot of fans in that room too, Larry, and you are doing this at Pig and a Pickle up at Corte Madera, baby.
Oh, and there we go. And like that, look at that. The graphic. We're doing a watch party, and we're going to do it during a Niner game. We actually did it on the Niner bye week for Damon's at in the city. But we're gonna, if you're a fan of my channel, if you're a fan of Damon's channel, hopefully Damon's going to be there December 17th at 1:00. We're all going to get together at Pig and a Pickle in Corte Madera. Now they've got two locations, right? Don't go to Emeryville. Go to Corte Madera in Marin. And, it's December 17th, so it's one of the last major shopping days before Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's, and all the great holidays and coming up here late December. But December 17th, we'll be there. Niners play the Cardinals. We'll do a watch party. I'm going to be there from noon on. The place opens at 11. They'll be there. They'll be open till 8. Stop by, have some barbecue, watch the game with us, have a few beers. And then, I understand that that's a very busy Christmas shopping day for a lot of people, but that Corte Madera Mall is freaking amazing. So stop in, have some barbecue, say hi to me, say hi to Damon. Hopefully Damon can make it. My family's going to be there. Kev's going to be there.
We're going to try to make it up there. My mom's coming into town. We're going to do our very best to make it up there. I'm going to have to get back home to do my post-game show. But Larry, we're going to be there. You've supported me this entire way. We're going to hopefully come out and support you.
Yeah, watch party December 17th, 341 Corte Madera Town Center. What I was going to say is, hey, stop by. If you want to do some, let me get the other brand up here.
By the way, I love the way that you covered the Mike flag in that old KNBR picture of you.
Seriously. But stop by, have some barbecue, have a beer, and then, go. If you want to do more Christmas shopping, go do it at the Corte Madera Mall. If you want to watch the Niner Cardinal game with us, you can. I'm going to attempt to do my post game there at Pig and a Pickle. And if you want to stop by and be part of the studio audience for that, it's a restaurant. It doesn't have ridiculous. It's not, a Dallas, Texas, restaurant where it's, there's 19 cavernous rooms. It's
Right.
somewhat
Seating for
small.
700.
Yeah, I mean, if 100 people descend on this place, it's probably going to blow the entire place up. But I've had a lot of people already say they're going to be there. So stop by December 17th, watch Niners and Cardinals, have a beer, have some barbecue, and hang out. We're going to kind of treat it like an open house. We'll be there between noon and when they close at 8. Should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
I'll just be honest with you. Larry's good. The barbecue's great.
Yeah, the barbecue is great.
Look, you want to talk about blowing the place up. Larry, I've kind of buried the lead today. I think more than any other time in his career with the Niners, which has been dotted with excellence, I think Trent Williams might have played his best game in a 49ers uniform yesterday. Trent Williams was out there bulldozing guys. I mean, he just went full on what they call him, the silverback gorilla. Oh my God, what a day he had. Not just pass blocking, but the run blocking. I mean, he was caving in the right side of that Seahawks front. All day long. Anything Christian McCaffrey wanted around left side, he got. And then when you put
how good was the Niners' run game, Damon? They averaged 7.5 a carry.
It was so good you almost didn't even notice it. You know what I mean? It's like when, Usain Bolt was so fast, he almost looked like he was running in slow motion. Like the Niners game, the run game was so efficient, you almost didn't even see it yesterday. It was just a given. Here's 6 yards. Here's another 6 yards. Here's 7 yards. Here's 12 yards. Here's 15 yards. Here's a 22-yard run by McCaffrey. Oh, here's a 72-yard run to open the goddamn game. And by the way,
then J.P. Mason got in for the tug.
Hey, how about J.P. Mason? He's still on the team. He's still getting good for him.
And Elijah Mitchell was hurt, so we may see more J.P. Mason.
I liked what again, I've never seen J.P. Mason and said to myself, less of that guy. I haven't. So more J.P. Mason, not at even the expense of Elijah Mitchell, who's also a running back that I like, but on the goal line, yeah, absolutely. Save Christian McCaffrey that goal line pounding when you can, if you can get Mason to stuff it in there.
James T. Kirk, you said pounding.
Hey, you know what? I can help him out.
Pound it, pound it, pound it, pound it.
Oh yeah, we got old tricks here. We got old tricks up our sleeves. But Larry, I actually really believe, and this is a theory that I kind of workshopped it on my post-game show. You tell me what you think.
Okay.
So we all know that the worst possession an offense can have is a 3-and-out. And the problem with the 3-and-out isn't just that you're giving the ball right back, but you never got any momentum. Like you were never able to establish a rhythm because you only ran 3 plays. Well, the Niners only ran 2 plays. And even though they equaled touchdown, I actually think that extremely fast start did as much to take the 49ers out of rhythm as any big Seattle Seahawk early in that first quarter, big hit that they might have laid on anyone. I just think that the 49ers have used this first drive all season long to establish an offensive cadence and rhythm, and they were 72 yards down the field, one more play in the end zone, and the only thing, and this is going to sound nuts, like the only thing worse than a 3-and-out might be running 2 plays. Even if you get a touchdown out of it. Like that is, I think that the Niners scored in such a short time that, they scored faster than it took to sing the national anthem. So I almost think that took them out of a little rhythm early on.
They scored too fast.
Yeah, there's no problem.
Excuse me, Kyle. Larry Krueger here from the Krug Show. Is it possible that your offense is too explosive?
Can you slow that down, Kyle? I think you're taking yourself out of rhythm with all these points. Again, I'm workshopping this theory. I'm not telling you it's one of my best. I'm workshopping it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know. I think I'll take
this morning.
I think I'll take the points. It's funny. I asked Kyle right when the press conference started. I said, "Hey, you guys got to win here over Seattle, and there were so many heroes. What did you like most about this game?" And he thought about it for like less than a half a second. And he said, you know what? The fact that we got to win. In other words, they're just singularly focused. The fact of the matter is they knew Seattle was more rested. They knew Seattle was pissed off from getting routed up there. They knew that it was going to be really tough to vanquish a proud opponent like Seattle twice in 15 days or whatever it is. And they would take this win any way it came. But it really was a great top to bottom team victory. You know, the offense played great. The defense played great. The special teams had big plays. The Niners are rounding into form right now, Damon, and it's a pleasure to watch. And to me, and we'll get into this, I'm sure, more as we go, but equally exciting is kind of the eroding of the Super Bowl landscape as far as the other teams are concerned. Buffalo beat Kansas City, but Buffalo doesn't look like a world beater. But guess what? Kansas City doesn't look like a Super Bowl contender right now. And guess what? The Eagles are taking on water. They don't look all that great. And Dallas is routing people, but the Niners own Dallas. And Detroit, I thought, was real, but they're maybe real in 2025 because the Bears are slapping them around. And you look around and you're like, wait a second. All of the teams that are standing between the 49ers in that sixth Lombardi in the Santa Clara Trophy case suddenly don't look like they're peaking or getting better. And in many cases, they look like they're getting worse. And this thing is, I don't want to get overly excited, but the 49ers are peaking and they're getting a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And how many teams in the NFL have this trajectory that actually have a chance to win the Super Bowl? Does Baltimore was life and death to beat the Rams at home yesterday. They're supposedly awesome. Who's the best team in the AFC? Baltimore? Kansas City, who lost and have no receivers? Is it Miami? Maybe it's Miami. We may be headed towards a Niners, Dolphins, Vegas showdown for the ages between the teacher and the pupil, between McDaniel and all that speed and Tyreek Hill and, Shanahan and Purdy and all these weapons. But it's starting to we're seeing a thinning of the herd at the top in the NFL right now. And I'm excited about the Niners, but I'm also excited about the potential when you look at the landscape of the rest of the league.
Yeah, it was a rough weekend for Bay Area sports when you looked at the Warriors dumping one on the road by a point, and then Shohei Ohtani taking $700 million over 10 to join the Dodgers. And so it felt like there were two body blows on the Bay Area's fighter this weekend. And then the 49ers reminded you that you still got a potential heavyweight right here. And they just handled their business and made everyone feel a lot better. Thank God that they didn't join the parade of depression that is right now the Warriors and the Giants. But look,
the Giants didn't get Ohtani?
Can you believe it, Larry?
I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked.
It is a shocker. It really is. I told you $700 million was the magic number.
$700 million. They were saying he was getting 44 a year. He got 70. And a lot of it's deferred. So the Dodgers are going to be able to keep building.
And
my God.
This is not Giants wake up.
No, we don't want to lose the audience.
Alarm. Exactly.
We got 2,000 people watching this show. The last thing we want to do is start talking Giants baseball.
By the way, here's our market
Giants
report.
baseball can clear a room better than anybody that you know.
Our market report brought to us by Kevin Kruger. 49ers wake up. Between your channel and my channel right now, Larry, has 2,000 people watching us right now in our respective rooms. 95.7 The Game is at 970. KNBR is at 460. So once again, we have more viewers watching us than both established sports talk stations in San Francisco have combined. So great hires and fires on their part, don't you think? Let's talk about a guy who we have bagged on probably more than any other Niner this year, and he stepped into a situation, was thrown into it because of a Charvarius Ward injury, and the shuffling means Lenore's coming off the slot, and he's going to the corner now to play opposite of Andrew Thomas. And guess who yesterday's second leading tackler was? Isaiah Oliver. We've bagged on Isaiah Oliver. He has played his way into the depth chart, not to the top of it, but he really responded yesterday, and I think we got to give him a little golf clap on that one. And I'll tell you, Greg Olson.
He's a great dude, by the way. Isaiah Oliver is a tremendous guy. He really is.
He played very well when the needle fell on him. And talking about needles falling on guys, dude, Jair Brown can play, Larry, straight up. Like, I'm not worried about Talanoa Hufanga's injury being the reason why this defense is going to perform or function differently. He's a hitter. He can play. He's got good hands. He's got good eyes. He's got good angles. I really like Jair Brown.
Oh, great kid. Great kid. He's the New Jersey steals leader in basketball. Think about that.
Ooh,
so he's got great anticipation. He's got great hands. He's got great 2 or 3 step quickness. He's making plays. And I asked Shanahan this question. I haven't tweeted it out yet. I will later this morning. And I talked to Jair in the locker room yesterday. I asked Shanahan, I said, man, I love what I'm seeing with Jair Brown on the front end, on the back end, against the run, against the pass. I go, he's making plays all over the field, Kyle. What are you seeing? And he's like, I'm seeing the same thing. He's like, he had an interception yesterday. He easily could have had 2. He makes big starching hits that, he's a thumper. He's a thumper in the box. He can cover down the field. That was a great freaking 3rd round draft choice. That kid was, as I said, he was a 2-sport star in high school. He followed Jaquan Brisker to junior college, then followed Brisker to Penn State. Brisker's now with the Bears. Jair fell to 87 in the draft. The Niners saw him falling. They traded up to get him. And day one, it's like everybody's got a vibe about him. His vibe is like, I'm damn good and I know it. I'm not arrogant, but I don't lack for confidence.
Right.
And then I went up to him in the locker room and I said, hey, have you talked to Talanoa? Because Talanoa's taken a personal interest in this kid's development, despite that Talanoa himself is, this kid's taking his spot as Talanoa is on the IR. And as I'm asking him about Talanoa, he's like, and he looks back in his locker and he's like, he gave me these beads. And I go, are they good luck beads? Are they winning beads or whatever? He's like, I'm not really sure. I got to talk to him about it, but he gave me these beads. And I'll take them.
Whenever anyone of Samoan descent hands you beads, you take them.
You take those beads. You take those beads. But yeah, I mean, the kid is just special. He's special. He's got a nose for the football. He wants to get better. The moment's not too big for him. He will step into he will fill the lane and light you up like a cigar in your golf bag on the 9th hole. You know what I mean? He will absolutely light you up, and yet he's got coverage ability down the field, and he's a productive interceptor. And there's a few things that translate in football from college to the pros. If you sack the quarterback in college, typically you're going to find a way to sack the quarterback in the NFL. And if you intercept passes in college, you're going to find a way to intercept passes in the NFL. And he, I think, has had double-digit picks the last 3 years for the Nittany Lions. And look what he's done so far. Could have had 2 yesterday. Kid's special.
Diamador Lenore, he needs to get in front of a jugs machine. Oh my God, he had that tip drill interception that he almost had the other day. But
that's when the receivers start talking trash to him and being like, "Hey, bro, that's why you play defense.
That's why you're a cornerback instead of a wide receiver in this league." But look, I'm glad he's a cornerback. Lenore's really come on well. Ambry Thomas, again, he did get beat on the DK Metcalf. By the way, DK Metcalf on his 1 touchdown catch. What an adjustment he made. I mean, he caught that thing in his hip pocket, Larry, coming off of his back shoulder as Locke didn't even, I don't even want to say Locke tried to put the ball there. The ball was just there. And the adjustment that Metcalf made, that ball came right over Ambry Thomas's outstretched hand. Here's the thing. Metcalf is a physical specimen of the first degree. He is a hothead, but that's a guy I would want to go to war with any day of the week. Like, seriously. Like, I know every Niner fan is wired to hate DK Metcalf, as they should be. He's a good player. He didn't have a good game yesterday. He has not played well against the 49ers. They got the answer and the antidote to him. But, boy, he's
unique. He's very unique. I mean, first of all, the guy's shredded, right? And he's about 230.
He makes other professional athletes keep their shirt on.
He's the guy's shredded. But if here's the weirdest statistical anomaly in the history of the combine. Guess who's got the faster 3-cone drill? DK Metcalf or Tom Brady?
Well, you wouldn't be asking me if the answer weren't Tom Brady.
It's Tom freaking Brady. DK doesn't run the full tree. He's a go pattern guy. He's a post pattern guy. He's got like 4 routes that he can run.
Well, he's so freaking big, Larry. I'm surprised he isn't like Brandon Ayuk, like a jitterbug, can do anything, cut on a dime. He's just too much man to turn around fast.
And Mooney, Mooney's a great matchup for him. I really believe DK is one of the main reasons the Niners went after Mooney Ward, because Mooney's the perfect answer to DK. But DK he's so big and so fast. And, could you imagine what DK would be with Kyle Shanahan calling plays where you get him in the middle of the field? You saw that middle of the field play against Dallas where he ran away. He looked like I felt like I was watching a sports car take off on the freeway. I mean, he was like shot from a cannon. I've never seen anybody that big with that kind of straight line speed.
He doesn't even have a wide receiver's body.
No,
he's somewhere in between a tight end and a safety. I mean, he's a unique player. He might be a one-trick pony, but he's got a hell of a trick up his sleeve. He really does.
He played with AJ Brown at Ole Miss, and he barely did anything. Go look at the numbers. It was all AJ Brown. DK barely did anything there. That was like the concern coming out. It's like, well, the guy looks awesome, but can he play? And a lot of people, he was that one guy that looked incredible at the combine, didn't have the collegiate production, and has emerged as a very, very special player. He's not AJ Brown. Brown's still way better. There's lots of receivers that, get into and out of their breaks more efficiently, better hands, so on. But man, mismatch.
DK Metcalf is also a little bit of a punk in him. He's got some punk tendencies, and he
grabbed Warner's face mask and he was just rocking that thing back and forth.
Before all that, Larry, I don't know if you've seen the footage that came out this morning, and I didn't see it until this morning on Twitter. Before Fred Warner shoves him in the back, DK Metcalf absolutely suplexed, almost pile drived, pick up and drove Fred Warner to the ground. That's why Warner got up and shoved him in the back, which led to Metcalf getting up and grabbing Warner by the face mask. And then the scrum breaks out and we're playing the feud. And then the Amador Lenore is in there with a 2-piece. It's coming in, pop, pop.
I miss the feud, man. Richard Dawson. Let's play the feud. Oh, the feud's still going on right now, but of course, if
it's not feud. Richard Dawson, it's not really the feud.
Could you imagine if there was any game show host today? Well, there is no game show host. There's no game shows anymore. But if you tried to kiss everybody, Richard Dawson literally tried to rip off kisses from everybody.
Richard Dawson got more ass than a horse's saddle. Okay,
Richard Dawson was just kissing everybody.
He really was. There was an aggressive amount of Me Too that would have come for Richard Dawson had he been in our era. It was a different time, kids.
It was a different time.
You could smoke. You could drink a glass of scotch with clinking ice cubes on TV back in those days. It was different. It was a different time. But look, it was a hell of a game for the 49ers. Welcome to 49ers Wake Up. It's wonderful to have you here. Damon Bruce and Larry Kruger with you. I know that, Larry, you've already got 21 super chats are already starred. So
yeah, should we go through it?
Well, yeah, let's get into them. But I want to bring up what I thought was an easy to forget about, but maybe the most important play of the day, the biggest momentum shifter where the game really went from, hey, Seattle's maybe hanging around, to, all right, the Niners are in control.
Okay.
I thought the biggest play of the day, the most momentum shifting play of the day, is when the Niners get the ball back with 5:58 remaining in the third quarter.
Okay.
And the very first play was Purdy to Ayuk for 45 yards, which just put the Seahawks back on their heels. You get Christian McCaffrey then into the red zone. He goes around Trent Williams 2 plays later. And then a play after that, Debo's getting a little shovel pass. And no, actually, that wasn't a pop pass. That wasn't the Debo pop pass. That was the Debo handoff to his rushing touchdown. And that made it 21-10 Niners. And that's where they took control of the game, I thought, more than anything else. And maybe the second biggest play.
By the way, I totally agree with you. I highlighted in my notes on that 1st and 10 from the 25. Purdy expertly moves to his left in the pocket and throws a dime to Ayuk 45 yards down the field. It was 1st and 10 on the Niner 25. The next snap was 1st and 10 on the Seahawk 30. That was a huge play.
It's stupid how much you and I think alike.
Huge
Like,
play.
I think you can have 20 people watch the same game and come away with 20 different plays, but you and I are usually on that momentum buried in the somewhere in the haystack play.
It screamed big time.
It did.
Big time.
It did. And then look, George Kittle's big touchdown right after the Seahawks scored their touchdown in the second half there. Kittle made the game 28-16, 2 plays into the fourth quarter. A really nice screen set up by the Seahawks, too. It's like they faked screens in both directions and went in the middle. Nice play. Nice play, Seattle. Drew Lock ran that one well. Did it to the backup tight end. But it was a day where, without even really noticing as it was happening, Brock Purdy throws for a career-best yardage afternoon. Purdy finished the game with 368 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception that, again, was off the fingertips of Ayuk. I'm sure Purdy will wear the scarlet letter on that one, but it might have been Ayuk's fault. It was just a day of chunk plays and efficiency from a team that has a coach who can really dial them up. When you're getting 9.9 yards per play, that's the most amount of yards averaged in a single game in the Kyle Shanahan era. So it's hard to say that, Kyle really botched the end of that second half or the end of the first half, which he did. I don't care what he says. I don't care what his excuse is. That is not how you play that half. That is
he took his foot off the gas pedal. I'd like to know why. Maybe he felt like Seattle couldn't score with them. Maybe he got distracted. Maybe maybe it was a colossal error of judgment.
Who doesn't want a short field with 3 timeouts?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
No, I know. I mean, where did we see that before? If you said, where did we see Kyle take the foot off the gas pedal?
Does it rhyme with the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs? Does it rhyme with that?
Yeah. But see, that Chief team had the ability to explode offensively.
Right.
The Seattle team. Yeah. I mean, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. This was a mistake as well, but I'd love to hear. I mean, we'll that's the beauty of this thing. We'll get a chance on Wednesday to go down there, and after I kind of watch the game and go through it with a fine-tooth comb, I can come up with a couple questions, and I can throw a couple of them at Kyle later this week. Are you getting
the Helen Thomas first question in these press conferences now, Larry? Normally Mayoko gets that first question, or Barrows. Is it yours now? Are you the first question guy?
Yeah, I've moved those guys aside, and no, I.
Larry Kruger from YouTube. Shut up.
Well, no, but sometimes I sit back and let it breathe, and other times I just grab it. I actually had somebody criticize me in the press box when I got upstairs for asking that question, that I should have asked a follow-up question about Mooney Ward's injury and his status, but I felt like Kyle had given us the update that he had. And I was taking that at face value that was the update, and then moving on to other topics.
Is that where we are still? Groin this afternoon?
Groin for Mooney Ward. As far as could he have come back in? Was it precautionary? Is it a week-long thing? Is he out for the year? I mean, all those could have been follow-ups, but
there's no way he's out for the year. He's not.
No. But I'm just saying the scope of that injury. I think the people that were being critical of me were like, "Hey, man, we wanted more on the scope of that injury." So maybe yesterday I jumped in too fast. Maybe somebody else would have smartly asked about the scope of the injury. But you know what? I'm not writing an article for the Reno Gazette, so I don't need to get that little note in there. I wanted to ask Kyle. I said to him, I'm like, man, you had everything going in this game, offensively, defensively, all your weapons. You got to win against a Seahawk team that was motivated, determined, rested, and ready. What impressed you most about the win? I wanted to see what direction he would take it. And he's like, started off by just saying, hey, man, we got the win. We just got the win. That's what we were here for. So I thought I was looking to see what direction he would take it, to see what was on the top of his brain. And what was on top of his brain was that, hey, it's week 14 and we got another win and we're stacking wins. And that's probably the right mindset for an NFL head coach.
James T. Kirk says, how does one get a media credential with the team? Well, apparently if you have electricity, you're a candidate. So
you apply, and they're, that it's as simple as that. And you usually have to have some tie to something, either some huge audience somewhere, or you have to be working for an old school paper, or
have a dad who was a hack in the industry,
a media entity, or something. You got to have usually something that that you're there for.
Let's hop into some super chats, Larry. What do you got cooking?
Well, G. Martinez, not a super, but he just says, you guys are killing with all those exclamation points. Appreciate that.
Exclamation points. It's incredibly
a lot of exclamation points. I top out at 3 typically. All right, let's I can't, the chat is moving so fast that there's so many people that had said so many great things to say. I don't know where to start. So let me just go right to the supers here. That one makes me laugh from Gregus. All right, here we go. Kyle L says, best day after 49er content in the land.
Thank you, Kyle. Really appreciate it.
Hutch Serves Gaming's dropping a 30 spot on me. He says, here's 30 for 30K, Larry. You lazy, Larry.
30 for 30.
If you're in the chat and you see people calling me lazy, my mentor, my good friend, the late Bill Urbanek, who I scouted with and worked for in the Canadian Football League, former Raider D-line coach, former Bengal D-line coach, former pro personnel director with the Arizona Cardinals, a guy who meant more to my football career than almost anybody. I lost him this year, and I loved him like a second father. And he used to say, boy, I love you, Larry, but you're fucking lazy. And he would say it. He would say it in front of the team. And so, like, when I run into old Sacramento gold miners from the mid '90s with Kay Stevenson, they would be like, "Fucking Larry, hey, what's up?" So he used to say that to me. I love you, boy, but let me tell you, you're fucking lazy. And I was effing lazy to him because I showed up for work at 7 a.m. and I left at 10 p.m. And they showed up at 4:45. And stayed there till we got the job done, and that could have been after midnight.
Right, and you're still coming in 4-8. So how much is that record helping you? How much is that?
I learned how hard it was to work until I worked on a pro football coaching staff and scouted and worked for these guys. I realized these guys are effing crazy. They work and work and work. They fly home from a game. They don't go home and see their wife and kids. They go to the facility and watch film until they got to call their, optometrist and change their, their prescription on their contacts or glasses.
It's not a healthy endeavor, whether to play it or coach it. It takes years off of lives. It truly does. So
you don't want it like I want it. All right. Then you're right. I'd like to see my wife and children.
Yes, I do want my family in my life.
Ricky Williams says the Cowboys did their big one against the Eagles. How do you guys view the matchup now with Dak and the defense playing like crazy? The matchup with the Niners and the Cowboys, or the Niners and the Eagles? I was looking at the playoff matchups right now. The Niners would be the 1 seed. The Cowboys, or I think the Eagles fall to the 5 seed. So, there's a very good chance the Niners are going to get the Eagles unless Green Bay upsets Dallas. And we're going to see Green Bay tonight. And Lo Neal told me yesterday on the 95.7 pregame show that he thinks the Packers are coming and that they're a real sleeper team. So wouldn't that be something if Green Bay knocked off Dallas and it was Niners-Packers at Levi's in that first playoff game? We'll see. I'm not afraid of Dallas or Philly. I think the Niners are better than both those teams. They've routed both those teams.
Yeah, Ricky, you're watching 49ers Wake Up, so obviously the two of us are probably going to come down, not because we're homers, but just because we've been paying attention to the 49ers. The real answer to your question, I think, turn to Las Vegas. The 49ers would be favored against either of those teams. The 49ers are going to be favored in every game that they play between now and wherever their year ends. So
who do you fear more between Dallas and Philly? Because I still fear Philly more. I know what we all saw last night was Dallas in their place sprinting past the Eagles, but the Cowboys can't stop the Niner run. The Cowboys can't run the ball against the Niners, and that's where football starts. And so I'll take Niners Cowboys on the rematch and feel just fine over another match with Hurts and the Eagles.
Yeah,
Where
I'm
are
not
you?
watching. I'm not watching the Eagles lose 2 games and doing a complete referendum and what I felt about them going into the Niner game. They're a good football team. They've had 2 tough opponents and had 2 poor performances against tough opponents. I mean, they shot themselves with their turnovers last night. Would they have 3 turnovers? A fumble for Hurts, a fumble for Devontae, and a fumble for AJ Brown too. So it was a rough night for the Eagles, but they're still a good football team. But their defense doesn't scare me like it used to. I think that the Niners have shown you that they can exploit their defensive deficiencies. So
CJ Gardner-Johnson was a bad A, and they lost him in the offseason and replaced him with what? Lance Blankenship? That I think the Eagles on the back end are, and by the way, how cutthroat is the NFL? The Niner-Eagle game, they faked the halfback toss to CMC on the tunnel screen to Debo that went for 6 untouched late in that game. The linebacker who fell for that play fake by CMC, Christian Ellis, cut 3 days later. Cut.
Ouch.
Patriots picked him up, but still, how ruthless is the NFL? You fall for a play fake and suddenly you're, on the beach. The Japanese 49er fan. The Japanese 49er fan. How does Purdy deserve the MVP when he's playing with all-pro running back Mitch Wishnowsky?
Hey, by the way, what kind of a career, we all love watching the odometer when it gets to a big milestone, right? Well, Christian McCaffrey has gone over 10,000 career yards from scrimmage right now with 153 yards from scrimmage Sunday against the Seahawks. McCaffrey reached 10,000 yards for scrimmage from his career. In 88 career games, McCaffrey has now totaled 10,071 yards from scrimmage and 77 total touchdowns, making him the 7th player in NFL history to have 10,000 or more yards from scrimmage and 75 or more touchdowns in his first 90 career games. And here's the company he's keeping, Larry. It's literally the list of the greatest running backs in the history of the sport. On the list that Christian McCaffrey has joined are Hall of Famers Marcus Allen, Jim Brown, Eric Dickerson, Emmitt Smith, LaDainian Tomlinson, and soon-to-be Hall of Famer Adrian Peterson. So
wow.
Christian McCaffrey's, we had our who's going to the Hall of Fame if their careers ended today conversation on Friday. Trent is in for sure. Christian McCaffrey is in for sure. I think George Kittle would be in for sure. And then on the other side of the ball, you have absolute Hall of Fame tracks laid down by both Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. And Kyle Shanahan's a Super Bowl away from being on a Hall of Fame track himself. So,
and Lynch is already in.
A lot of talent there. Yeah, and Lynch, he's got a jacket.
Yeah, unbelievable. This wasn't a super, but I saved it because ER said, please cover why Shanahan did not use timeouts at the end of the first half. Could have gotten in field goal position. We kind of hit that.
I mean, here's the thing. He's going to whip up a bullshit excuse to explain it away. And I don't know
or maybe it won't be a bullshit excuse. Maybe it's his thought of the tempo of the game. Maybe he had some reason for it, but it did seem like an oversight.
Here's the thing. There's not a lot of, hey, Kyle, no matter what you were thinking, you're probably wrong about that. Taking a short field with 3 timeouts with this offense and a kicker that can hit it from anywhere means you should always be playing to score as long as the game is happening. That's just me. That's
well, and my question I think would be along the lines of, if you got into a game with, I don't know, Miami in Las Vegas, would you do the same thing? You know what I mean? Because that's really the question. That's the pertinent question is you won the game. But what if you got in there into a fight with a team that could really score points in bunches? Would you have taken a different approach there? And I'd love to hear his answer to that. Gold-Blooded says the only worry is the injuries for this guy, Gold-Blooded. And then we got a guy saying he wants to see Niners Dolphins in Vegas. Dale drops, Brock is the most cerebral quarterback in the league. Chess versus checkers. There has not been a quarterback this smart since the line, since Tom Brady. It's not even close. Brock is very, very, he's football smart.
Again, it's that central processing unit we were talking about earlier. He sees the field. He processes the information. If I can steal from Greg Cosell once again, he's good late in the down. And you can't be good late in the down unless your eyes are where they need to be. This was the criticism of Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo, first read, he's a really good quarterback. Second or third read, his quarterbacking acumen starts to fall dramatically, where it feels like Brock's quarterbacking acumen almost increases the deeper he gets into the play. And that's a credit to him, to Kyle, to the players and talent around him. They all fit each other like a hand in a glove.
Brock has, and it's not just intellect. I mean, I'm sure it is partially intellect, but spatial awareness. The one thing the Niners weren't doing in the later stages of the Garoppolo run, where they weren't having play action from under center as much as they were play action from Jimmy being in the shotgun. Why? Because when Jimmy turned his back on the defense and then turned back around, he kind of needed to recalibrate where everybody was. When you watch Brock Purdy operate under center and he turns his back on the defense on a play action, play fake, when he flips back around, he literally knows where everybody, his mind or his eyes have taken that picture, and he knows where everybody's going to be. And you'll see him flip back around and he's already taken his hand off the ball. He knows where he's going to go with it. So, that we're talking about split seconds here, but that's the difference right there. We got this one from Greg Argisi. He says, Brock equals baby Montana, real life Brocky. Yo, Niners. Or maybe even go Niners. Eric Wertheimer says, Debo Sember is my favorite month.
Better than Toyotathon.
Debo is incredible.
5 touchdowns in his last 2 games.
Bang, bang, 49er gangs. Can 49ers pay Purdy now? He's worth the bag.
Nope.
They don't have to pay him now.
Yep.
That's the beauty of it.
Nope.
Dolanite says, enjoyed Krug's interview with Kinlaw. Yeah, we wrapped up with a 3-minute breakdown on dip. I said, what are you chewing, bro? And I go, is that Copenhagen? Is that Grizzly? What do you got there? And he's like, I don't know what I'm chewing. I bummed it from George. So we talked about what kind of dip Javon Kinlaw.
That they definitely want players endorsing
smokeless tobacco.
What was the answer, by the way? He's a former dipper. I haven't had a single dip. So you're asking me, like, so Damon, what's the worst part of the stroke? I don't dip anymore.
It's terrible stuff. I quit it as well. I remember Tommy, when I worked with Tolbert, used to love the cherry skull. I asked Javon, he's like, man, I like anything with a little wintergreen. He likes a little wintergreen.
There you go. Well, so he might be a Kodiak guy then, because Kodiak is they would find that you could feel the mouth cancer coming with Kodiak. You can feel it cutting into your gums. Ugh.
Well, I don't know if people know this, but you know what they put in dip? Shards of glass.
Yeah,
to cut your lip so that the tobacco goes into the bloodstream.
Glass, sand, Larry. These are
diabolical, man. That's diabolical.
Yeah.
Danny Golding TV says 49er Wake Up is the best wake up show based in the Bay since Wake Up SF with Danny Tanner and Rebecca Donaldson.
I believe that's a Full House reference. I guess that would make us the Olsen twins.
Robert Whitaker, Larry's impression of Ralph is better. Sorry, Damon.
Come on. Craig, you're so cute. You get angry about the Giants. Oh, you're going to Disneyland? Go to Toontown.
I gotta remember that. He was so excited about it.
Go to Toontown. Go to Toontown, Larry. Yeah. No, Craig, let me tell you, you got to go to Disney's Kitchen. It's in downtown Disney. It's a little pricey, but you're really going to like it. The characters are there. They interact with the kids. I really enjoyed it. Tate enjoyed it. We thought it was great.
5 weeks later, I come back. Ralph, you owe me $100. I went to breakfast. It was like $140.
It was like, it's a little pricey. But I save money on my Miata. So I want to say I don't save on Disneyland.
Elite Archer 23, but I can't point out why Kyle isn't trusted.
Sounds like he's wrapping up a bigger conversation or point he was making in somewhere else there.
This is what happens when we group the super chats, Elite Archer. We didn't fully get the context, I think. Atlanta 3 says, is Grant coming to Pig in a Pickle? Damon and Grant can hug it out while Coach provides security. I don't know. I'm not sure. Not sure who will be there, but I'm excited for everybody who will be at Pig in a Pickle. Lorenzo Pinto says, I grew up with you two guys. I'm here to support.
Thank you,
Thank you. Appreciate you, bro. Rakib Jamani says, great show, guys. Love the hustle you guys have. So happy about the 49ers season ticket holder down in the OC. I really can see this team being denied a Super Bowl championship. I think he means I really can't see. I really can't see this team being denied a Super Bowl championship this season.
By the way, how about Rakib? Is there a more impressive season ticket holder than the one who has to fly into the game? I mean, that's Rakib. Is whatever bell he rang it good and loud. Cheers.
Seriously. The Shaw, not a super, but I had to throw this one in there. He says Brock's birthday is the 27th. He will be 24. Crazy. I mean, that's what's
way has been the Plouffe Mania. He's a hell of a listener, and that is crazy. You want, are these the best 49er times? Well, you know what? I don't know, but they're about to be. Drunken Ninja says Terrell Owens is on line 1, big and fast. Yeah, T.O. had a little bit more route running ability and stop and start, and there was a lot more footwork to T.O. than DK. But you're right. Big, strong, fast, dominant. You don't want to tackle T.O. with 3 steps. You don't want to tackle Debo when he's got 3 steps. And man, if DK gets it rolling, good luck bringing him down. You're going to make business decisions in that secondary. East Bay Ricardo says the biggest play of the day was the unscripted fake punt. Again, Mitch Wisnowski saw something. He loved it. And I mean, he read it as correctly as a punter can read that play. I mean, if you're going to freelance like that as a punter, you 1,000,000,000% better be right with it. And he was right with it. It's going to give opposing teams down the road something to think about in a category they normally don't need to think about. Like you said, Larry, there hasn't been a singular fake punt in the Shanahan 49er era. I don't know if there was a singular fake punt when he was an OC for the Atlanta Falcons either. I mean, it's just, he's got such an offense. He'd rather try to pick up the 4th with just a straight up play than a fake punt. But Wisnowski did a hell of a job on that. Too bad it didn't stand.
Can I tell you why I believe we saw the fake punt yesterday? Because it was, first of all, Schneider is the former Seattle special teams coach. So if he's going to get one over, he's going to get one over on the team that he worked for a long time. It was also the kind of game, and I talked to O'Neal about this, where Seattle was going to try, you think, to steal a series with something, an onside kick, a possible fake punt, because the Niners are better than Seattle. And when you're better, when the team that you're playing is better and more high-powered, you might want to steal a possession. And so, you know what? If you feel like you can beat them to the punch, you do it. And so I think the 49ers thought maybe a fake punt was coming on the other end, and they wanted to, and Schneider, who's an expert special teams coach, said, I'm going to beat them to the punch. By the way, when is it okay to butcher your spelling or your verbiage in a super chat? When you come right back with the correction for $4.99 more. He says the biggest play of the game was the unscripted fake punt. Thank you, East Bay Ricardo. Twice.
Again, biggest play isn't exactly spelled correctly there, so another $5 he could get it right. Thank you very much, East Bay Ricardo.
Yes, Tom Daly says, miss where I was born, San Francisco, even though it's not the same. But you two bring me back. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Tom.
That's a huge compliment, and that is something that I've heard, Larry. You know, when people talk about finding us here on YouTube and subscribing and liking, not only do we serve up, I think, sports right today, but there's an element of nostalgia that gets wrapped up in us. And a lot of people are like, oh, to hear your voice again and to hear you guys working together, my 2 favorite hosts that the Bay Area always should have put together, but no radio station was ever able to figure out how to do it the right way, the right time. Almost happened once. But it's great that it's happening now. No doubt about it.
Hey, you want San Francisco minus the feces and the needles? Check out the Krug Show. Check out Damon Bruce Plus. There you go. Check out 49er Wake Up. Daryl Granville says, can the Niners still pick up Kinlaw's fifth-year option? No, but they can sign him. They can sign him. He's a free agent, and I'm sure he would like to stay. And maybe they would like to have him at a certain price.
That's the thing.
I think mentor is Eric Armstead.
He's played himself into a price point that the Niners should be able to digest and hopefully keep him around. And honestly, if they can't, hey, I like Javon Kinlaw. There are some players that fall into the land of hard to replace, and there are other players that are replaceable. I would say that Kinlaw drifts into the lane of replaceable more than most guys along that defensive front. But he's having a great year. No complaints about Kinlaw at all. But how about this? If they can't re-sign Kinlaw, it won't be the difference in are you a playoff team or are you not?
He plays a position where if he keeps playing this well, he will get paid. And if he's going to get paid big, it may have to be elsewhere. But Aaron Banks told me yesterday in an interview that you can find on the Krug Show that JK is a great dude. He's like, man, people don't realize what a great dude that guy is. He's very real. Yeah, he really cares. He's a great teammate. This is Aaron Banks, and he's strong as hell. He's like, as somebody who's had to block him, I mean, when this guy plays with leverage and a bended knee, you saw it in that Seattle game on the Ambry pick. He took that center and just waltzed him back into the quarterbacks, into Geno's back pocket, made it look like he was going up against high school kids. I mean, Kinlaw, when he plays with leverage, maintains strength that very few people have.
By the way, you said Aaron Banks' name. We haven't used his name yet. He had another really good game, part of that left side, and Trent Williams collapsing the entire world over there. I want you to
Banks is a great dude, too. He's got a 1-year-old. He showed me a picture of his 1-year-old yesterday in the post-game locker room. Damon, this guy's bigger than us. he's got a 1-year-old that literally is like 6 feet. I mean, the guy is. I've never seen a bigger 1-year-old in my entire life. I said, "Does that kid have a driver's license?"
There you go.
That's a big boy.
What's the family business? We large. That's what we large over in this family. Aaron Banks, what is Greg or Jeff Schwartz? Gregory, what's his name? The former offensive lineman. He's all over Twitter. You know who I'm talking about?
Jeff Schwartz, former Oregon Duck. Yep.
Yes. Big Oregon.
His brother Mitchell Schwartz played for Cal.
Exactly. So Jeff Schwartz broke down the McCaffrey 72-yard game-opening run. Watch Aaron Banks get to the second level on that run. Watch Aaron Banks just clean up the dance floor. And I think he took out Bobby Wagner, too, on the play. The reason why Brock Purdy had the entire dance floor to cut back across was because Aaron Banks came out there and, hooked the unknown comic off the stage, if I can use a reference that's at least 50 years old here.
Right.
That's what happened. He laid waste to the linebacker that he got to in that second level. So cheers to Aaron Banks.
He's going to have a great
gargantuan 1-year-old son.
Right. He's going to have a great career. He said, I said to him, hey, man, he doesn't even know that you're a football player at this point. And he goes, yeah, no, we had him at the right time. He goes, but I'd love for him someday to, he's got the he said he's already bought him a little 65 jersey. But he goes, he'd love, to have, still be playing when the kid's a teenager and be able to, enjoy his career, have his, enjoy his career with him.
This is another lesson that, again, sports fans are terrible at learning this lesson. Some guys take a little patience. Aaron Banks took a little patience. Remember all of his, didn't even dresses in the beginning of his career in his rookie year, and he was being declared a bust. And
right, and John Lynch pushed back and said, hey, wait a second. All you guys saying this guy's a bust. This guy's not only not a bust, this guy's going to be a very good player for us for a long, long time. And that was late in his rookie year, where people were like, oh, Aaron Banks is a bust. It's like we're in a knee-jerk, quick reacting society. Nobody has patience for development anymore. Banks just needed that redshirt year to reproportion his body, learn the league,
You get to
learn
look
the
body
speed.
set off. And here's the thing.
Yep.
Everyone looks at the offensive line and they think all you need is a rhinoceros horn and you're just a big dude. And that's there. I don't know if there is a more technique riddled position on a football field than an offensive lineman.
Yeah,
it is
point.
Everyone is big and strong. What kind of technique? I mean, just leaning a centimeter to the left will get you beat. And you got to learn how to not do that. And he's done a great job. He's done a really great job developing into a player who, again, was injured there for a while. The 49ers had a little trouble establishing their ground game in a way that they want to. He's back in the mix, and look at the afternoons that they've put up from the backfield.
I asked him about the turf toe. I said, how's the turf toe coming along? Because turf toe, as you know, Damon, can be like 1 or 2 weeks, or it could be a career ending.
Yeah, I have
He's
10
like,
turf toes. I have nothing but turf toes.
well, Banks said, hey, it's getting better. He's doing the treatment. He's not feeling the pain as much. It's subsided a little bit. So he said he's feeling better as far as the turf toe. So that's good. And he took a couple weeks off because of the turf toe. And if you watch really closely, you can see his explosiveness to climb out onto that second level and pick off linebackers is better now than it was early in the year. So it's amazing what a couple of weeks of rest late in the year will do to your speed. And if you've watched Banks all year, you can notice it. Mike Baker says, love the insight and the laughs after games with guys. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. East Bay Ricardo, I got you. The biggest play of the game was the fake punt in the game.
Thank you, East Bay.
Thank you for the 15 bones 3 times over. Ollie KU says, how about the Hawks stealing our double fake pass?
Yep. Look,
yeah, I saw that.
Good players, good comedians borrow, great comedians steal.
Yeah.
Same thing with coaching.
There you go. All right. Those are all the supers, 30 supers almost right there. We appreciate every single one of them. And, seriously, very cool that this is another cool aspect of YouTube is that, you can interact. People can make donations. Damon and I have had shows where we've done some great video calls, which we're both big fans of. I think video calls in some ways are better than, Damon and I are the kind of hosts that love to take phone calls on the radio. And so now video calls are like even better than radio calls because you get to actually go face to face with people.
Yeah, you get to look someone in the eye. You get to see what someone looks like for the first time when you're talking to them, and it's really cool. We're going to be doing I'm calling it Sports Phone Friday, just straight up. Friday's my 11 o'clock show. We are now taking calls. I think that's the new sort of modus operandi of the 11 a.m. Pacific time show that I hope you'll all be sticking around for. Coming up in about 40 minutes over on Damon Bruce Plus. We're going to get going with a show where we're not only going to be talking more about the 49ers, but Larry and I have just pretty much been over every single petal of the flower. There really isn't many stones to be left unturned, but we'll talk a little bit about Ohtani and the Warriors too. So a little bit more everything in the mix that is going on. Larry, I think we need to sort of kind of go over what happened in the NFL schedule. If you're through all of the supers yesterday,
yeah.
A very consequential day in football with still 2 Monday night football games coming up tonight. This evening, we've got Titans Dolphins. So we'll see if the Dolphins don't join the 10-win club. That game starts at 5:15 West Coast time, followed by going off at the same time as well. Packers
identical. One's on ABC, one's on ESPN. And isn't that weird? They put Packers Giants. Packers are 6-6. The Giants are 4-8. But just because it's the New York market, that goes on ABC. And yet Dolphins are probably the favorite out of the AFC to go to the Super Bowl. They're 9-3. They haven't lost at home all year. And yet the Dolphins wind up on cable.
Well, if we're being completely honest, forget about market size. The biggest NFL brand in that bunch is the Green Bay Packers. So that's probably why they're on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
Packers fans are
sure. No, you're right.
everywhere. They're like mold.
By the way, my bet on this, I'm going 2-team teaser on this one. Give me the Packers tease down to, I'm going 7.5-point teaser. So Packers plus 1.5, and I'm going to go Dolphins minus 6.5 on the tease and parlay them together tonight.
Yeah, Dolphins, 2-touchdown favorite hosting the Tennessee Titans.
Mike Baker says super chats are better than yelling at the radio. Yes, thank you.
A game that had some consequences yesterday that a lot of people, aren't focusing on. A lot of Niners fans probably didn't even notice. The Browns beat the Jaguars, and the Jaguars are going in the wrong direction at the wrong time, Larry. Browns get to 8-5 with the win. Jaguars, they fell to 8-5 with the loss. So that game had some consequence on it. Buccaneers, Falcons.
Well, before you leave the Jacksonville game, everybody and their brother will tell you that Trevor Lawrence is better than Brock Purdy. But is he? Trevor Lawrence threw 3 picks yesterday. 3 interceptions in that game.
How about that?
I know he's got the stature. There's one thing it's one thing to say, well, the guy's got the stature. Yeah, but you know what? Stature doesn't win games. Eventually, you've got to win games. I mean, they're 8-5. They're 5-1 on the road. It's not like Jacksonville doesn't win games. And it doesn't. I'm not saying that Trevor Lawrence is garbage, but there's a lot of people that would just absolutely be like, yeah, Trevor Lawrence, definitely he's better than Brock. Is he? Is he better than Brock?
All things being equal, Larry, and this is going to sound like, okay, you guys are 49ers homers. It's a stupid question to even ask. Is it?
Really?
Hold on. All things being equal, knowing what you know about Brock and knowing what you'd know about the trading partner that I'm about to ask you about, who would you, without a doubt, trade Brock Purdy for as a quarterback in this league? I mean, we would have started the year, and if I would have said Josh Allen for Brock Purdy straight up, would you do it? Everyone would have said yes. Right now, I don't think I'm saying yes to that. I wouldn't trade him for what's left of Aaron Rodgers. Okay, Patrick Mahomes. All right, I'll take that phone call. We can talk about that. That's who Mahomes is.
There's 3 for sure. It's Mahomes, in my opinion. Okay, this is just my opinion. If like tomorrow, every team in the NFL's general manager called offering their quarterback for Brock Purdy, I would say Lamar, yes to Mahomes, yes to Burrow, yes to Josh Allen.
Oh, okay.
And probably yes to Lamar as those 4. And other than that, I know people would say, well, what about Herbert? What about Tua? What about Lawrence? What about CJ Stroud? What about Hall of Famer Russell Wilson? Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers? What about the MVP favorite, Dak Prescott? What about Jalen Hurts? I just gave you my list. Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Lamar. Those are the guys that I would trade Brock Purdy for, straight up for right now.
I don't know if either of those 4 would be a better fit in Kyle's offense than Brock Purdy. I mean, that's the thing. You want to talk about the hand in glove relationship. The thing that is so special is the situation that Brock finds himself in and the situation that found Brock. He is the perfect quarterback for this offense. He does what Kyle needs and he avoids. I mean, again, the most important thing about Brock Purdy isn't just the plays he's making. It's the mistakes he doesn't make. The elimination of mistakes. I thought he took a couple of sacks yesterday. That was the smart play. Yeah. Don't put the ball in harm's way. Don't give up on a possession or try to make something that has got such little chance of popping in your direction. Sometimes you just got to eat it and live to play another down or throw it away, throw it 5 players deep into the sideline. And he seems to make the right choice there as often as he makes the right pass elsewhere. So, again,
and it's funny, as I said that I would take Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, and Burrow. I'm looking at the chat immediately. There's like, Bobby, Myra, everything is off schedule with Allen and Lamar. They cannot run Kyle's offense in the pocket. You might
be right. Here's the thing, Bobby, you might be right. And that's what makes Purdy the right chef for Kyle's kitchen. He just, yes, chef, whatever you need, head coach. I'm not here to question or, you even asked him this, about, hey, when it comes to game install and game plan, are you talking about the coach? And Purdy just said, no, I get the playbook on Wednesday and I just have an awful lot of trust and I'm not trying to get involved in decision-making processes that I shouldn't be involved in. I'm the player. They give me the playbook. I run the playbook, and that's how we have success. So, I mean, it's a great situation.
Yeah, no, I mean, let's just say this, whether we can name, it's all personal preference. There are people that are questioning Joe Burrow. Really? I think Joe Burrow was spectacular in the game earlier this year.
But I'll tell you, Larry, look at some of the success that the Bengals have had without him.
I know.
I mean, if that were to happen,
Folsom's playing well.
If that were to happen, like Brock Purdy gets the Joe Burrow injury, he can't go, and Sam Darnold comes in and starts playing like this, everyone would be like, told you, it's the talent around him. Hey, Joe Burrow, and you don't say this very often about Bengals quarterbacks, but Joe Burrow's in a hell of a situation. He's got talent all around him that his backup quarterback has had quite a bit of success with already. So,
Robert Whitaker Dale says Burrow's a system quarterback. I don't know about that.
Again, every quarterback is in a system.
I don't know about that.
All of them.
We got this one too, and one more super. Kevin Johnson. Is that former? Is that KJ, the former mayor of Sac? Is that KJ, the former Phoenix Sun? Probably not. He says it's incredible. Oh, he misspelled it. You might want to send another one. Most teams produce 3, 4, 5 true stars on a team through the draft. How many of the Niners produced? Well, I mean,
you want to play count the great draft picks on the Niners? There's quite a few out there.
Yeah, I mean, are we talking ever?
No, not ever.
We're talking about right now.
Right now.
Yeah, right now. I mean, Debo, Ayuk. Obviously Bosa,
Brock Purdy.
Purdy.
Are we going to put Aaron Banks into this conversation?
Aaron Banks is a blue chipper, no doubt about it. How about Dre Greenlaw?
A couple of years ago, George Kittle's at the front of this conversation.
Yeah, George Kittle. I mean, not even, and these guys that are truly great that are no longer here. I thought DJ Jones was a phenomenal 6th-round draft choice by the 49ers.
Hufanga. We're starting to see Ambry Thomas really round into shape. Diamador Lenore went from a question mark to a trusted agent all of a sudden.
Jair Brown looks like he's a future star.
Did you already say Fred Warner?
No.
Because, I mean, there you go, right there. That's the best. Here's the thing. I don't know who is maybe the best at what they do in football. Maybe more than Fred Warner is the best middle linebacker in football. I mean, that's who he is.
And Fred Warner is such an interesting guy, too, because there's
right. Warner ain't too bad.
Yeah, exactly. Armstead's been really good. Dre Greenlaw's been damn good. I mean, the people are,
here's the thing. Armstead didn't have all by myself game-changing talent about him. But in the situation he's in now, boy, is he flourishing. He really is. So
Eric Armstead is a very, very good player.
Dictate careers at every single position on the field. It's not just the quarterback.
No, not at all. The Niners got it going on. The other guy who's playing really well in the system, and we don't talk about, we haven't mentioned him at all, but Randy Gregory is a nice piece to this puzzle, Damon. This guy's a speedy rusher. He knows how to play.
Really good.
And I did an interview with him, and he's like, I'm like, Randy, you guys are truly rushing as one. And it's not, everybody may just see a bunch of guys running at the quarterback, but it's really choreographed beautifully. And he's like, man, you watch the film, huh? And I'm like, yeah, I try to watch the film. And he's like, I appreciate that. I said, I'm not coming in here asking you guys questions just off the dome, man. I've got to watch the film so I know what the hell I'm talking about. And he's like, I appreciate it. He's like, that's exactly what we're doing. Because I mentioned to him against Philly last week that there was a play where Bosa knifed inside, and it gave Hurts for like a second or so a huge running lane. And then what Armstead did was he saw Bosa move inside. He moved outside. Hurts took one step towards that hole, saw Eric move into it, and then kept going back. So it's that coordinated rush that I think and that's why Bosa said, man, I hope Dallas copies what we did. Because if you looked at what that Philly-Dallas game, Jalen Hurts did not rumble for big-time yardage. He had 5 runs. His longest run was 11 yards. He had 30 total yards. Jalen Hurts can go for 80 yards. Jalen Hurts can have game-changing type runs, and it just deflates a defense. Last few weeks, hasn't had those.
And
how
you know,
much of that was the Niners blueprint?
what's really revealing about all this is you remember earlier in the year, they were going to that five hands in the dirt sort of defensive front.
Right.
It looks like they've gone away from that. They're back to four. They're back to four guys down, maybe the threat of a linebacker being there, but that normally gets peeled off unless the blitz is in there. Yeah, Randy Gregory's been a really good ad. And he might have played his best game yesterday. And
for nothing, Damon, by the way, the Niners traded like the last pick of the 6th round for they basically moved from the last pick of the 6th round to like the first pick of the 7th round. They gave Denver their 6th for Denver's 7th. It's going to be the equivalent of moving from like 228 to like 234 or something like that. You know what I mean? Not even. It might be they moved back like less than 10 picks.
No, got
Randy Gregory, and they got Denver to pay the salary.
The Randy Gregory trade was an absolute no-brainer, a no-risk addition for the Niners. And I mean, every GM in football should make that deal if offered to them. So they got to. The only thing I don't like about Randy Gregory is his number
5.
I don't like when defensive linemen wear single-digit numbers. I don't like it in college. I don't like it anywhere. You're a big boy, put on a big number.
Yeah, but you know what? He did Niner fans a favor because now they can take their wasted Trey Lance jersey and just change the nameplate, and they got a useful jersey.
Hey, thank you, Randy.
Randy, thank you for that. Those jerseys are expensive. But you know what? This whole Randy Gregory's
the Trey Lance thing to bed.
There was a lot of this talk of Randy Gregory's a bad guy. Oh, I'm telling you, man, I've interviewed the guy 3 or 4 times. He's solid. He's solid. And if you go look at his track record, what did he get? What, a marijuana thing? I mean, literally, there's like 19 places between San Francisco and Santa Clara where you can stop by and buy a J on the way to the game.
The JJ Raider ganja jars right here, Larry. We don't fear weed on this broadcast.
I'm telling you. So, I mean, that's what made Randy Gregory a bad guy. I mean, come on. Randy Gregory is solid. He's solid. And I was talking to Ed Werder when Dallas came in, and I'm like, tell me about Randy Gregory. He's like, yeah, really good dude. Really good dude. And now I've had a chance to talk to him at his locker a couple times, and it's like, you know what? This guy's really smart, really solid, really consistent, really cares. I mean, this guy goes deep. I mean, he is an intelligent football player as far as what he's doing, how it's coordinated up front. I mean, he's a true student of the game. I mean, that was a great addition by Lynch. And he gives them something that they didn't have, and it's hard to get in the middle of the year, and that's speed off the edge. He's got great speed off the edge.
I still think we're going to see. Do you think we see Beal at any point in time here? Because it looks like he doesn't get dressed for these games.
Right. Well, it's a numbers game. People ask me all the time, hey, what's up with Beal? What's wrong with Danny Gray? Nothing's wrong with Danny Gray, and nothing's wrong with Beal. It's just that there's only 53 up on game day, and it's like you got to be one of the best 53. Beal, Gray can't get on the field because you got Debo and Ayuk and JJ and Ronnie Bell and Ray, and so there's going to have to be some injuries or some guys moved aside, and then with Beal, there's only so many D linemen you can dress on game day. Now, Beal does have a special trait. He's got 4.4 speed off the edge. And in this scheme where you just hunt quarterbacks off the edge and really get upfield, I think he could really be a force. So I think there's a very good chance we'll see Beal activated for a game before the end of the regular season.
There's one last point that I want to wrap up with before we get into our Trent Baalke, Ralph conversation to wrap up today's show. Is there any unfinished business that you need to get to?
No, I think we've covered it. I just wanted to say overall, great team win for the 49ers. I think we've shouted out virtually everybody
on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone through the roster. I mentioned Jair Brown, Cleve Farrell. I mean, I think overall, I will say this. I had a chance to go in the locker room after the game and talk to Dre Greenlaw. He took a pretty good friendly fire hit from Fred Warner to the hip, but and Dre's walking around with about 7 different little injuries that he's playing through. But he said he's okay. said he's fine, and said, he expects to be there for Arizona. So that was the last thing I was going to add there.
Larry, the last thing I want to add is, you and I, and there's websites like Awful Announcing that is dedicated to pointing out shortcomings in broadcasters, and there's plenty of those. You and I have been critical of broadcasters in the Bay Area. Let's give someone the flowers when I think they really deserve them. And I know that you were in the press box yesterday, so you don't get to hear the game on TV the way that I got it at home. Greg Olsen is honestly one of the best color guys I think I've ever heard. The information, his sense of humor, his ability to predict or dissect plays is really elite. He's got that I used to play in this league savvy about him, but he doesn't shove it down your throat. And he researches. He doesn't just get off an airplane and get handed a roster and do a game based on that. He yesterday broke down the Chavarius Ward, Ambry Thomas, Diamador Lenore, Isaiah Oliver playing time love triangle or rectangle and how that's all related. And he knew it. He knew it like you and I have discussed it. He knew it like he's been listening to. He talked about a team like he was a local journalist covering this team, knowing the ins and outs of who's earning or losing playing time. He is really good. And if he's going to be replaced by anybody, it better freaking be Tom Brady, because to me, he's state of the art. And he told a story about Kyle Shanahan that I loved yesterday. And it explains Kyle Shanahan, Greg Olsen said, goes about telling guys that he isn't looking to feed or freeze anybody out of an offense ever. He's just looking to attack space. And Kyle will tell a player who feels like they weren't really involved in the game plan that, no, it wasn't you not being involved. It was me attacking space that you just happened to not be occupying. And so we attack space.
Great point.
We're not looking to feed anyone. And then the really interesting thing is he says, he tells the guy why he might not be getting the ball and explains it so the player doesn't create his own doubt. That's why Shanahan's a player's coach, because he knows that these guys in their dark rooms and in their quiet thoughts will start to make up their own reasons. Well, why am I not getting the ball? Should I be angry? What's going on here? And Shanahan will explain to a guy why he's not being used so they don't create their own doubt. And Olsen brought that up, and I just thought it was a great comment and insight into how well prepared Olsen is as a broadcaster and into Kyle Shanahan as the player's coach.
Yeah, no, it's a great anecdote. Olsen, by the way, is kind of like John Lynch. I mean, he's got a higher calling than just being a color analyst. He's probably going to be somebody's general manager someday. He's really, really sharp. He's a worker. He's really bright. He's a good guy. So, and I think his partner is equally great, Kevin Burkhardt.
He's very good.
Burkhardt's a cool guy. I've traded some communications with him through the years. To me, when you can make A-Rod and Big Papi sound cool and interesting, you can make anybody. I mean, Burkhardt's really good. He's good on the baseball roundtables. He's good on this. I think Fox's team of Olsen, Burkhardt, and Aaron Andrews is the best going right now, in my opinion. And it's all subjective, of course, but I like all three of them. I think they do a great job. I think Burkhardt's a big star, and I think Olsen is as well as an analyst. And as far as Kyle, I mean, all you got to know is this. Offensive football is about creating space, and defensive football at its core is about closing space down. And so it's just a matter of, what is Kyle really good at? It's little wrinkles that create space. And, it's all about it's almost kind of like the Al Pacino thing from Any Given Sunday. We fight for the inches, and, but it's really
around us.
right. That scene in the one where LT's in the steam room and he's like, man, I forget exactly what LT's line was in the steam room, but classic movie. But offensive football is about creating space, and Shanahan creates it better than anybody. And that's why Danny Gray is still here. People are like, what's Danny Gray even doing here? because Danny Gray's got huge speed and potentially, to Kyle, can create space. And I've asked Kyle about it many times, and he's like, yeah, we got to create space. So, that definitely is part of the equation. And Kyle's great at creating space. And, I said to McCaffrey, I'm like, man, you really carried out that play fake on the tunnel screen. And he's like, yeah. He's like, well, I carry out that fake where all I do is just put my hands in the air. The linebacker takes 5 steps. Instead of that being a 15-yard tunnel screen, it's Debo goes to the house, because that fake on the backside on the toss creates the space, because there's only 11 guys in the field.
Right.
So it's about
as soon as McCaffrey does that, he's not just holding a linebacker, but safeties have eyes, and that's eye candy that a safety has to be paying attention to. And that's when Jamal Adams got turned into a piece of burnt toast. Who, by the way, Jamal Adams,
most overrated player in the game.
Seriously. He is not fast. He doesn't close down on the run game with the level.
He's a linebacker.
Yeah, I'm not impressed. And
he can hit you and start you.
And his wife, when he gets pointed out, is this guy blew a coverage. Did you see all that?
What's that?
Jamal Adams was criticized by somebody, and he's like, worse than this. And he put up a picture of the dude's wife. And honestly,
she was a cute lady.
Cute, like that's a thing. Like, you tried to burn this guy down with "you got an ugly wife." The whole world looked at her and is like, this is not like you even blew.
Well, and of course that's besides the point, of course. Right. But I mean, it's just so.
It shows you how bad he is at it.
Such a tasteless, yeah. Really, but I mean, how tasteless is that? You're gonna rip a guy's wife?
Yeah, that's scumbag.
I mean, seriously, that's the kind of shit that should get you fucking fired. I mean, and canceled. That's just wrong, dude. That's just wrong. Dub B. Trey says, and we missed this one from earlier, says the Bay Area had 2 major wins this weekend. The 49ers and Oakland's own Devin Haney winning the WBC 140-pounder event at the Chase Center. So
how about the Raiders going down 3-0 at home?
Oh, my daughter's boyfriend is a Raider fan. I was talking to him last night on the phone. She was talking to him, and I said, Nick, you're just lucky that the NFL doesn't have relegation. Otherwise, the Raiders would be in the XFL right now.
Aren't they coming off of a bye? I think I saw
setting football back by decades.
Josh Dubois said that it's the first time a team has been shut out 3-0 in a dome. Like every other 3-0 score is attached to like a terrible weather sort of situation. It was 68 and sunny in the dome, and the Raiders couldn't even put up a point at home.
Cosmo asks one more question, Damien. He says, any word on Zach Ertz? There has been no word on Zach Ertz. I did say to my buddy who's a former Monta Vista coach, I'm like, hey man, if you see Ertz, try to get him try to get him on board. And the only thing about Ertz is Ertz doesn't play special teams. He's going to be a backup tight end who's not a great inline blocker, but Ross Dwelley does have a high ankle sprain, so there is a fit there. And I think the Niners initially probably weren't interested. Then once Dwelley had the high ankle sprain, is going to miss a month or so, maybe more, that maybe they are interested. Supposedly there's 5 or 6 teams that have interest in Ertz.
I would sign him just as a backup. You got the cap space. It won't hurt at all. You might as well. You're deep enough into the year where you're not going to turn around and need that cap space. There probably isn't a better player available to be added this late in the year than Ertz. So I think they should if they can.
Yeah, I mean, the question, and Vince Vargas says maybe Ertz is not fully healthy. That's part of it. And then maybe, who knows, maybe he wants more money. I would be interested in Ertz from the Niner perspective at this point. You're playing, right now you're playing, 3-dimensional chess. You're no longer playing checkers. So the Ravens lost Mark Andrews. Do I want Zach Ertz? Well, I don't want him in Baltimore.
Kansas City.
Kansas City's got terrible weapons. I may not want him, but I don't want him in Kansas City. I don't want him in Dallas. I don't want him in Philly. I don't want him
in Miami.
I don't want him in Miami. I don't want him anywhere else. And he is a Bay Area kid. He went to Monta Vista. He's a Danville kid. His wife, Julie, I think is a Bay Area person as well. They both went to Stanford, possibly. I know, obviously, Zach did. Yeah. I'd be all about getting Ertz, even if it's just for the block.
Well, sometimes you got to make a move that's a couple of moves down the table. You're looking at this, Larry, and you see maybe just turkey and stuffings, but I see the green beans. I see the other things on the table that are options. Ralph, would you go bet signing Zach Ertz? Do you like guys from Stanford?
You're always talking ACLs and you like injured guys, and I don't like injured guys. I like people who are healthy. I'm healthy. Tate's healthy. Tommy's healthy. We're all healthy here. I don't like injured people. I've done it over and over again. I've told you time and time again. Sometimes I get out of the Miata and I make sure I get out slowly so I don't get injured.
And I appreciate a good education. Personally, I'm Wharton School educated, and
It's good that Ertz is from Danville, Damon, because that means he can go to the Amici's. It's in Danville. It's in downtown Danville. I like it a little burnt. And, get the lemon pepper wings. They're special. They're really special. I've told him many, many times that I think those lemon pepper wings are special. Now, you can get them spicy, and you don't want to go atomic. I don't go atomic. I told him, I told Peter, I won't go atomic. Please don't make me go atomic, Peter. But I like them a little spicy, but not extra spicy.
No. All I can tell you, Larry, is that you're Ralph. It's fantastic. It really, really is.
Thanks. You going to Toontown? Oh, me and Tate went to Toontown. What you do is you get in the park, you get the hopper pass, you go to the back of the park, and you work from the back to the front. If you work from the front to the back, it won't be as fun. You're not going to have as good. Yeah, you want to have fun, right? Don't you? And definitely go to Toontown. Definitely go see the Disney princesses. One of them I met the other day. She goes to Fullerton. I'm probably a little too old for her, but I think she took a liking to me. She's a Cambiar listener. She told me that she likes my show and she thinks I'm quite handsome.
49ers Wake Up will be back on the air at 8:35 on Friday as we get you ready for another weekend of football. Thank you for being here. Hit like and subscribe on the way out. I've got a show starting in 13 minutes. It's the Damon Bruce Show on the Blues. Larry, what do you got coming up later today this week?
I'm going to take later this week. Oh man, I don't know later this week. I got a bunch of stuff. Tune into the Krug Show. We're gaining subs by the minute.
30 minutes, maybe. 30
I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to hit the gym. I got a 2-hour meeting on the treadmill. I'm going to push some weights around. I'm going to think maybe Kyle talks at 3:30 today. I'll be there for that. I think Grant and I may stream at 4. I'll be watching Monday Night Football at 5:15. We got a lot of stuff coming from Santa Clara. And in Trent Baalke's voice, John, you ought to go get Zach Ertz. Go get because the guy's got 2 good ACLs. And I've always said, when I was on with Damon, he would ask the tough question. And it bothered me then, but I can appreciate it now.